The nation's longest-running traveling celebration of traditional arts, the National Folk Festival comes to downtown Jackson for the first time, November 7th through the 9th. A fun-filled weekend for the entire family, exploring roots, richness, and variety of American culture. Non-stop music and dance, folk life demonstrations, hands-on children's activities, signature Southern foods, crafts, and more showcasing the best of America, the best of Mississippi, all free. We'll see you in November. More at nationalfolkfestival.com.
Everlasting, the Legacy Podcast, is the official companion podcast to the upcoming MPB original documentary, focusing on the life of Medgar Evers. The companion podcast, hosted by me, Rita Brent, will feature in-depth conversations, extended interviews, and exclusive archive footage not shown in the documentary. Everlasting, the Legacy Podcast, video and audio episodes premiere September 18th. Find it on mpbonline.org or wherever you get your podcasts. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Folks, welcome back. Horticulturalist Felder Rushing, and we're going to be talking about gardening. And there's a lot of stuff going on right now. A lot of stuff that's going on that's not all that great, to be honest with you. But we're going to stay positive as you can. So if you've got some things that are on your mind, talk about this related to gardening in the Deep South, give us a call. We'll be glad to chat. It's 1-877-MPB ring. Did I get that right, Java?
There you go. I was about to say, no, we don't have the 1800.
How long have you been trying to corral me on this program, Java? How many years now? And I still can't get numbers right.
Yeah, it's been a little while. 1-877-MPB ring, 1-877-672-7464 if you want to join today's show.
Yeah, before we get to our calls and some other things, I want to ask, how's Lady holding up in all this heat? How's your sweet little white puppy?
Oh, she's holding up because, she's in the house most of the day, and she is really, truly, I can say, getting up in age because she uses her bed more than ever, not just laying on the floor. Like, she has to find her bed and get on it, and that's her resting spot. So,
well, I know the kids are doing fine out for the summer and all like that. And but Crystal, how's her garden doing?
The garden is going good, man. We've been getting a little bit of rain, so I haven't had to water it as much. She's been out of town being the fancy Crystal that she is. But we've been getting a lot of tomatoes. Her mom came over the other day and picked some tomatoes and stuff. So it's thriving, man.
Yeah, I got an email, a thing on the Mississippi Gardening Facebook page. Somebody wanted to know, can you just take whole tomatoes, and just freeze them and use them later? And I did a little bit of research because I didn't think you could. But as long as they're healthy tomatoes, don't have cuts and stuff like that. If you wash them, you can put a whole tomato in like a Ziploc bag and suck all the air, like vacuum pack it and put it in the freezer just like that. And then if you want to, instead of chopping it all up, you can go ahead and just drop it in some stew and chop it up later. Because you can't save them if you're going to slice them because they get mushy. But you can freeze them whole, just like that. The reason I want to mention that, Java, is because a lot of people don't realize that when you cut a tomato open, there's enzymes that start breaking it down real fast within seconds. And anybody who's ever tried to make tomato sauce and put it up always had that little bit of clear stuff at the top. That's because of the enzymes. You have to work real fast to keep that from happening, or just freeze them whole. But anyway, at least you got tomatoes.
Yeah, no, we've been blessed in that department so much so, especially being the first time out at a garden and being able to have tomatoes enough to share with people. So yeah, we're blessed in that department.
It only gets better. It only gets better. But don't ever put a pencil on how much those tomatoes are costing you, though.
Yeah, the math doesn't math when you break it down.
That's right. It's about quality of life. But I've got a lot of stuff to chat about. I know there's a lot of things going on, but it's a live program. So anybody wants to call, again, toll free 1-877-MPB ring. And I understand we have June on the line already. Is she from Brandon, did you say?
Yes, sir.
Good morning, June. What's going on?
Well, I have a most unusual problem. I saw online, I was shopping for something else and discovered orchid seeds. And I thought,
Orchid seeds?
wonderful. Orchid seeds. Have you ever heard of orchid seeds?
Well, orchids, like any other kind of plant, they do spread by seed, but I would imagine that they're like dust. I have no idea what it would take to get them to
Got it.
germinate.
You
We
got
even
it.
have native orchids in Mississippi that seed all over the side of the interstate. But I imagine you're going to have some specialized conditions to sprout them. It may take a while.
Exactly. I learned this. I just wanted to let anybody know that if they saw orchid seeds, don't spend $10 for a pack of orchid seeds unless you have a way of propagating under sterile conditions, because they are really susceptible to bacteria and everything. So I was so disappointed that I couldn't grow an orchid from seeds, because you have to mix up a special solution.
Oh, yeah.
All of that.
Yeah,
Now,
there's a lot of people who do
other,
it. But that's pretty specialized,
yes,
though.
Yes, they are. I have one other thing that has been bothering me for a couple of years. Out on the interstate at the stack, right where you start to go, where you go over the bridge to go down 49, there is a huge cactus plant, those big desert cactus the pods are as big as your hand.
I've seen that clump.
Well, if there was a minor accident or stop somebody there or anything, those things are dangerous. I tried to get somebody to remove it, but I couldn't get anybody to do it. But if you know about it, I guess just leave well enough alone. Huh?
Well, it's not so much that. You've got a good point. That is kind of a dangerous intersection. There was because there's as you know, coming from Jackson, going over to Highway 4 down south, you got to cross over some stuff. Westbound 20, eastbound 20. But, the Department of Transportation there in Jackson, I bet they could send a memo to somebody to dig it up.
Okay, that's a good idea, Department of Transportation. Well, thank you, Felder. I just love you all, everybody on that show, and you give us such good information.
Well, thank you. I wish I could help you with your orchids, but I wouldn't try it myself.
Well, I was going to ask if you wanted these seeds. I'll be happy to send them. Okay, I didn't think so. Thank you, Mr. Felder.
Okay, Jean, thank you for calling. I appreciate that. John,
okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. About the only orchid I would want to grow would be the vanilla. Vanilla comes from an orchid.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, but it's a bean. But you got, I think it is. This is a horticulture. I might have to look that up during the break. But at any rate, there's some plants that are easy to grow if you can make them think they're back home. And unfortunately, with orchids, that means tropical. You could have a greenhouse and still all sorts of stuff like that. But anyway, it is what it is. We got any other calls?
Yeah, let's go to I don't know if this is about the same cactus you and June were talking about, but let's go to Jason in Jackson. Has a comment about a cactus.
Hey, Jason, what's up, man?
Good morning. That cactus is from the cactus farm out toward Vicksburg. And it fell off of a couple of them fell off of a truck years and years ago. And then I used to work for MDOT.
That cactus is actually native to the Southeast, and I've even seen it growing up in Michigan, but a smaller version. But the opuntia, the prickly pear, I grow 5 different kinds of it myself.
But the MDOT crews leave it there intentionally. They it's kind of become a bit of a landmark, and people are excited by it and get it's one of the things they point out to folks. And so they had started to trim it one time and got a bunch of complaints, and so they've left it be.
There's always going to be that, ain't it? Always going to be that.
Yes, no matter what. If you want it gone or if you don't want it gone, somebody's going to complain about it.
Yeah. Do you grow any kind of cactus or succulents yourself?
I don't mess with cactus. Those things I don't have the fingers for it.
Well, actually, and while we're talking, folks on live stream can tell that, they say, hey, I can wave at them and all that, and see me in Java and the picture of the garden that I take care of here in England. But let's get our live stream producer to throw up our picture. The picture I sent, number one, it's a collection of succulents I grow, sedums and stuff. And I have one of those prickly pear cacti that doesn't have thorns. It's just as smooth as it can be. And it grows just like all the pretty flowers, pretty fruits, but it doesn't have the thorns on it. But I grow a lot of different cacti and succulents because they can go for 3 months without being watered, and they could take freezing temperatures in wintertime too.
I see. I didn't know that was even a thing. Cactus,
Oh, yeah,
I automatically
yeah.
think of spiny poking my fingers and bleeding everywhere.
Yeah. The first ever in Java, this is kind of the earliest plant that I can remember, and I've thought many years about early gardening experiences. The very first I can remember is getting a brand new inflatable beach ball, one of those multicolored beach balls, blowing up. We're throwing it in my grandmother's front yard, and it landed on a prickly pear, and there was no amount of tape that could tape up all the holes on it. But my first memory of an actual plant, Jason, is a prickly pear that ate my brand new beach ball, and I must have only been 4 or 5 years old.
And you wrecked it on a cactus. That's awesome.
Yeah, the cactus took it away from me. I'm blaming the cactus. But anyway, there are a lot of succulent. There's agaves, there's yuccas. There's so many interesting shapes and colors and textures and flowers. These plants make a quite nice little collection, and they don't need any care at all. No watering, no bringing them in the wintertime. So they're kind of interesting to me. But anyway, I appreciate that. Nice little footnote.
Yeah, well, y'all take care.
Okay, appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you, Jason. We were getting some comments on the YouTube too about Jason coming through with the lore about that patch. A lot of people are talking about they like that little patch of I don't even know where is it, right off of I-20?
Yeah, if you're going, you know what the stack is, just how the downtown. If you're on 55, if you're crossing, going like south towards Hattiesburg, as soon as you cross over before you turn south on the Hattiesburg, it's along the guardrail there.
Okay. I'll make sure to pay attention to that after the next time I travel that way.
Yep. How about the calls? How are we looking?
Yeah, let's go. We're getting ready for our first break of the hour, but let's go to Chico in Oxford before we take our break.
Morning, Chico. What's up?
Good morning, y'all. I got a question about grass warming. I got this piano for sale, right? And
Yep.
I got it out in front of my house on the grass that runs alongside the road. The grass is real well established. It's verdant, and I think Mike Connor planted it. It's been there, and it'll be there next year.
Yeah.
And I got this piano for sale for $18, and I figured it would move real quick, so I wasn't worried about the grass underneath it. And
don't tell her what's living under there.
Well, yeah, I was going to throw in some other stuff like some old wooden shutters and a storm door that has 2 big panels of glass. And I was thinking, if somebody doesn't buy this in the first day or two, I'll move these things so the grass doesn't turn yellow underneath it.
Right,
and I'll just keep moving. But underneath the storm door, underneath the 2 square windows, that grass turned a bright yellow almost immediately. So is the moral of the story, if you don't want your grass to turn yellow, you don't put glass on it?
What you did was you steam. It's called solarization. You solarize that grass.
It did it quick too. I lifted up the door, and the rest of the grass was. I'm getting grasses mixing me up. The rest of the grass was still green. So I thought about you and bottle trees. It made me realize that you could cut glass into shapes, and you could make art over a canvas of grass.
Yeah, you could, but I would suggest you need to find something else to do.
I think what I'm going to do is cut out some glass and put it on my grass for a slogan like "Lock up the Kudzu Kings" or something like that.
Yeah, there you go. No, that's just solarization. It's like rolling up the windows in a car. It gets awful hot when the sun shines through it and it traps that heat.
I'm going to roll my windows down now. I appreciate it, y'all.
Okay, Chico, good to hear from you, guy. And Java, I know we got a lot of stuff going on right now, but I do have some pictures on it, and I got some cheesy stuff I heard at the pub the other night I want to share with you.
Yeah, well, let's
But I
go ahead
guess,
and take our first break, and then we'll come back to the pictures.
okay, are you playing the music and all like that?
Of course, Felder.
Okay. Well, see, I can't hear. A lot of folks don't realize that I'm actually in northern England right now. I'm in Lancashire, and broadcasting live from the misty moors of Lancashire. But my heart, my mind, and all my plants are in Mississippi. So anyway, if you got some things you'd like to chat about, give us a call. It's toll free 1-877-MPB ring. If you're not on live stream, go to YouTube anytime, 24/7, and YouTube in the search box type Gestalt Gardener or Mississippi Public Broadcasting, and you can see these things we're talking about. We'll be right back after a real short break. I've got some cheesy stuff to show you.
Every parent wants their child to grow, to explore, and to dream big. At MPB, we're proud to support families and teachers across Mississippi with trusted educational programming and resources that inspire learning and spark imagination. From PBS Kids favorites to digital tools and early learning support, MPB is here for young minds, engaged classrooms, and families who believe in the power of learning at every age. Empowering families, inspiring learners. MPB, your stories, our mission.
Together through the years, together in the future. MPB, your stories, our mission. The nation's longest running traveling celebration of traditional arts, the National Folk Festival comes to downtown Jackson for the first time, November 7th through the 9th. A fun-filled weekend for the entire family, exploring roots, richness, and variety of American culture. Non-stop music and dance, folk life demonstrations, hands-on children's activities, signature Southern foods, crafts, and more showcasing the best of America, the best of Mississippi, all free. We'll see you in November. More at nationalfolkfestival.com.
Folks, welcome back. Horticulturalist Felder Rushing. We got some callers on the line, but before we go that, Java, I'd like to get Abram and John C., who are our live stream producers today, to throw up a handful of pictures, starting with number 3. Java, can you see the pictures that we're posting like the live stream people can?
Yeah, and Abram and John C., they are like on top of things because I can see.
This is my studio. This is my studio. It's my laptop. I got a little ring light. I got plants around it, my little MPB cup, and this is how I do it every Friday as long as I'm not in the studio with you.
We're gonna have to get you a little dust rag or something, man, because that's a dirty computer, Phil. That's a dirty computer.
That's my traveling computer. Anyway, I want to show 2 other pictures before we go to the calls. And number 3 is a picture of some lavender, because in that picture of the Gestalt Garden, my studio, I'm showing some lavender. And if you've heard about lavender, this is what it looks like. Lavender is a little low bush. Actually, they get chest high here in England. Hard to grow in Mississippi. Thousands and thousands of people have tried for decades, and only a handful survived for a little while. But this is lavender out of my garden here, and I cut it because it's real fragrant, and you tie them together. Matter of fact, I'll show it in a little while. As soon as I picked it, it was time to go to my pub. And the next picture, number 4, I'm showing it, my lavender, I'm showing it off in a pub. And you know what? They didn't care. They didn't care at all.
And that is a dark brew, man. I know that's your flavor, but that is a dark brew there.
It's a dark brew. You know, some people knock down this light stuff, but I want something I can chew on and last me a long time. Anyway, again, before we get to the call, one of the things that we were talking about at the pub was weird things to talk about. And here's a little detail. A guy named Washington Wentworth Sheffield invented toothpaste in the 1870s. Not making this up. This guy invented toothpaste 1870s, and they were saying he ought to be recognized somehow, but the problem is they can't find any plaque.
But
Okay. Without further ado, let's go straight to the phone calls. We've got Michael in Hattiesburg. Michael, thank you for holding on. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking.
Sure. What's up?
I've got some ground-dwelling bees, and in my ignorance, I would call them honeybees, but going online, I understand honeybees don't usually go into the ground, and this is a
That's
hive
correct.
of them. I can see them going in and out, and
Yeah.
according to the online, they will abandon that hive at come winter, I guess, or sometime, in which case I'll live with them. But if they're going to stay there forever, I'm going to have to do something to get rid of them, because I got to get into that garden at some point and pull weeds
Yeah.
and stuff.
We have
Will they leave?
Yes and no. Here's the deal. We have a lot of different kind of bees, and we have a lot of different kind of wasps. Matter of fact, there's a YouTube group called Friends of Social Wasps. These are the bees that live together in colonies. Bumblebees will do it. Honeybees will do it. Bumblebees a lot of times will have holes in the ground. But do you know what a yellow jacket is by any chance?
Yes, sir, but this is not. This looks small, I would call it a honeybee. It's a light-colored bee, small light-colored bee. And there's a bunch of them going in and out of this hole, so I know it's, a hive of them. It's not like individual holes.
Yeah. Well, to sort of halfway answer your question, most of the social wasps and bees, they actually die in the wintertime, and a queen will overwinter or some eggs will overwinter. They start over again the next spring. Wasp nests don't live from year to year, is what I'm saying. But honeybees don't do that. I'd be curious to find out exactly what kind of bee it is. Is there any way you could put like a jar over it and just enough to get a good close-up picture of one and send it to me? Because I'm curious about what it might. If it's not a wasp, I want to know what kind of bee would live in a colony like that in the ground. Because I'm not familiar with any that would do that.
Oh, okay. Well, I can try that. See if I can get it done without getting stung too bad.
Well, the thing to do is, just lay a net over it and then drag it to one side and see if you can get just one where you can get a really good close-up picture. Because if I don't know what it is, I know a group of folks who'll find out, and they will know for sure what the deal is. We can talk about it. If you want to email it, that'd be great. But
okay. Thank you very much.
answer your question. I don't know if they're going to leave or not, but they're definitely going to be there. You're going to need to get out there sometime before winter. So I don't know if you wanted to get rid of them, and I hate to say this because wasps and bees are very beneficial, but if they're up against a screen door, you got to step over and whatever, got to do something about it. What you can do is get one of these aerosol insect bomb type things, and at night when they can't see you, go in and shove it down in the hole and don't get between it and the porch light. But that'd be the easy way to take care of them that way. A lot of people do dangerous stuff like pour gasoline in the hole. No, don't do that. That's dangerous.
Well, I read you could put water down the hole or whatever and run them out that way, but I don't know if that works or not.
It could be. Most of the time, the wasp bees that have nests in the ground, they have a hole that goes down and it comes back up into a chamber that's up above water comes from. So you'd have to get in and fill it all the way up. They're probably up above. Got a little chamber up above it goes down like a U-trap under a sink.
Gotcha. All right. Well, thank you for your information, Felder. I'll see if I can get a picture for you and get more information on it. Thank you.
Yeah, it's not even a third of the information until we find out what it is, and I'm curious about it. So shoot me an email, Michael, and be careful.
Yeah. Thank you very much. All right. Bye.
You bet. Let's slide all the way up, almost Tennessee to South Haven and talk with Rebecca. Rebecca, thank you for holding. How you doing?
Doing great, Felder. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Okay. Limelight hydrangeas. I remember the first of the summer, all of Memphis seemed to be lit up with limelight hydrangeas, and I don't notice them so much anymore, but got other things to think about. Do they bloom all summer, or what are they like?
I don't know. I've heard various things about it. It seems like I see them all summer, and it might be that they can rebloom after a main bloom if you cut them back and let them put out some new growth, because they do bloom on new growth. But as far as will they bloom on their own without being pruned, I just don't know. It's a good question, and it's the kind of thing where I should know, and if I do know, I can't remember. But it's a good question. I'll do a little bit of research on that, but I just don't know. Don't know. Stay tuned.
Okay,
So,
got a second question.
anybody-
Second question for you. St. Augustine grass. Now, my husband grew up in Hattiesburg, and to him, that's the only kind of grass worth having. And
Yes,
everybody's
ma'am.
saying it doesn't grow up here, and yet then he'll go by. He says, "There's a yard of St. Augustine. There's a yard of St. Augustine."
Yeah.
So, what is the deal? I mean, does it grow with trouble, or what's the deal up here in South
Well,
Augustine?
St. Augustine is a subtropical plant, and it can grow you up in Memphis, but it's more likely to get freeze damage if we have a sudden hard freeze. The grass isn't in good shape, so it's more likely to freeze the further north you go. Same thing with centipede. We have some good. I was raised in St. Augustine, about just south of Clarksdale in the Delta, so it should do okay. But here's the deal: for it to have its best shot, it needs to be not fertilized a lot, but given a little bit of a good fertilizer at least every 3 years or so. No more than once a year, but every 2 or 3 or 4 years, a little bit of fertilizer in the spring. But the most important thing about St. Augustine is to mow it high. It's not a carpet, it's a shag rug. You're probably not old enough to remember shag rugs, but it needs to be mowed high to be thick and dense and have a good, strong root system. And if you'll fertilize it every 2 or 3 or 4 years and mow high, and give it at least one good soaking a month if we go without rain. Don't have to water it all the time, but at least a good soaking once a month will really help it a lot. It'll be as durable as any grass.
All right, great. Thank you so much, Felder. You have a good weekend.
Okay, appreciate it. Okay, and if anybody knows about pruning limelight hydrangeas, anybody listening can help us out, just shoot me an email. If we can, I'll find out next week and I'll report on it. But let's slide down to Brandon, just outside Jackson. Cindy, how are you doing?
I'm pretty good. So my problem
Good.
is with my lantana.
Oh boy.
So I've got two different ones. One is the beautiful multicolored one, and the other is the orange one. So this time of the year, they get the white bugs and on all the stems and fuzzy stuff, and I just usually cut them back very severely, and then they rebloom and grow back out. But what else can you do? What's going on there?
What you cut? Wait, did you cut them back and they haven't come back out?
No, I when I do cut them back, they do come out. But is there a way of preventing that from happening every year instead of having to cut it way back?
It's a good question. There's a couple of diseases and a couple of different insects that can really booger up the leaves of lantana, really booger them up bad. The problem is, it's such an important pollinator plant, you don't want to spray it with insecticides. So some people never get the problem. Some people have it every year, but there's really not anything I could recommend. You'd have to spray fungicides ahead of time, which is a lot of trouble, or else spray insecticides often, which will kill the bees and the birds. I mean, the hummingbird, all the things that pollinate it, which is not good. So I would just say, as long as you don't keep it too wet, just cut it back when it looks bad, or maybe cut every other one back so you always have some flowers, others coming on.
Okay, because I wondered if there's some different varieties that don't get that.
If it's a disease, there are some resistant varieties, but again, we have trouble with spider mites, with lace bugs, with a couple of other insects that suck all the sap out of the leaves and make them look kind of stipple. Sort of like what happens to azaleas growing out in the sun. Not any good control for it once it hits. So pruning is about the best thing you can do.
Right, because I pruned a bunch of it, and then I took the water hose to try to wash that stuff off. But I guess, the pruning, I guess, is the best thing to do then.
Well, and pruning not only gets rid of the problem, at least temporarily, but it also stimulates real strong new flowering growth, and it comes out real fast and blooms again. So again, you might want to just cut every other one back, or just cut some stems and not some stems, and just play it with it like that.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. You have a good one.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Java, we got time to take another call before our break?
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. It's going to be Felder's choice. We have Tom from Neshoba County, or we can go to Cheesy Tune.
Let's go to Tom. Let's see what's going on in Neshoba County. What's up, Tom?
Good morning, Felder. I've got an heirloom chrysanthemum that I wanted to propagate to share with my daughter. And I just wanted to, if you could give me some tips on what's the best way to propagate chrysanthemum.
Okay. Well, first of all, pruning them right now is a good idea because they bloom in the fall on growth that that goes through the late summer. If you cut them back now, they'll put out new growth within 2 weeks. And as that growth comes on, when the days get shorter in late August, September, they'll set more, you'll have more flowers. Little short pieces root very well. Not the very tip ends, but towards the ends of this year's growth. If you take cuttings, 3 or 4 inches long and strip most of the leaves off, they root really fast, sometimes in a week and a half or 2 weeks. So if you just want to try doing that, you can also divide the plants if you want to, but the cuttings root real fast. Just keep them moist, not wet, in a kind of a bright, indirect light. They should do pretty quick.
Just wrap them in a wet paper towel?
Oh, no. No. I'd get up some little pots with some moist potting soil and just stick them in that most of the way, where you've got 2 or 3 inches of the stem in the potting soil and 2 or 3 leaves sticking out. And if you'll put like a plastic bag or cut the bottom off of a cola bottle, throw the cap away. So it has sort of like a little greenhouse with a vent at the top over it. They'll root like you would believe. And just keep it moist and humid in bright indirect light without keeping it too wet. They'll root real fast.
Okay, thanks a lot. Have a good time in England.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Java. You heard him tell me that. He told me to.
Well, so now it's going to be Tom's fault.
That's right. No. Thank you, Tom. I appreciate that. Hey, I came up with a cheesy tune. Is Alabama? I can't remember. Is it Alabama Jim? Alabama Slim?
Alabama Mike.
Alabama Mike. Wonderful blues song, and I found a version of him singing this song live, and I thought it would make a good little cheesy tune to sort of break things up, and we can come back with more phone calls. So can you run that one?
Yeah, and when we come back, Jerry from Jackson, he wants to talk about his hydrangeas, so hold on, Jerry.
Okay, Jerry, I think I know what the question is too, but anyway, I'm horticulturalist Felder Rushing. Me and Java Chapman, and Abram and John C., all the other folks at MPB. We're glad you joined us. Be sure to tell other folks about this on YouTube so you can actually watch this anytime you want to. YouTube Gestalt Gardener. We'll be right back with the Gestalt Gardener right after this.
At the Mississippi Arts and Entertainment Experience in Meridian, we believe in the power of the arts, storytelling, and education, just like Mississippi Public Broadcasting. MPB connects communities across the state with quality programs that inform, inspire, and engage. Their audience is loyal and appreciative of businesses that support public broadcasting, which makes underwriting on MPB a smart investment. Join us in supporting MPB. Learn more at mpbfoundation.org.
The nation's longest-running traveling celebration of traditional arts, the National Folk Festival, comes to downtown Jackson for the first time, November 7th through the 9th. A fun-filled weekend for the entire family, exploring roots, richness, and variety of American culture. Non-stop music and dance, folk life demonstrations, hands-on children's activities, signature Southern foods, crafts, and more showcasing the best of America, the best of Mississippi, all free. We'll see you in November. More at nationalfolkfestival.com.
Everlasting, the Legacy Podcast, is the official companion podcast to the upcoming MPB original documentary, focusing on the life of Medgar Evers. The companion podcast, hosted by me, Rita Brent, will feature in-depth conversations, extended interviews, and exclusive archive footage not shown in the documentary. Everlasting, the Legacy Podcast, video and audio episodes premiere September 18th. Find it on mpbonline.org or wherever you get your podcasts. MPB, your stories, our mission.
The Measuring Show.
Since 1970, MPB has been enriching the lives of Mississippians.
Everything we do gives us the chance to grow and learn.
With your support, we are always there whenever and wherever you need us. Together through the years, together in the future. Please consider making a donation at mpbfoundation.org. MPB, your stories, our mission. Okie dokie, folks. Welcome back. Horticulturalist Felder Rushing. Java,
That's a kind of a cheesy tune, wasn't it?
No, see, sometimes you don't always go on the super cheesy side. That was pretty cool. Alabama Mike and
anybody spell Mississippi?
Yeah, spelling out Mississippi. Gotta love that.
If you're listening to it on the podcast, we can't play the music again because of copyright and all like that. But it's Alabama
Mike.
Called Mississippi Live. Yeah, I hope you enjoy that. Anyway, got plenty of stuff to yak about, but if you say we've got somebody on the line already?
Yeah, I want to thank Jerry from Jackson from holding on. He wants to talk about, I believe it's hydrangeas.
Hey, Jerry, what's up with your hydrangea?
Hey, I cut them back every year, but for some reason this year they came back with a vengeance. They're well over 7 feet tall and seem like they're steady growing. If I were to cut them down lower, would they reproduce, or would I be causing damage or harm to them?
It's a good question. Are you the old-fashioned kind? They're either pink or blue. They got the big ball-shaped flowers.
White. Okay. Right. The big white.
Okay, no, it's a white one. See, there's different kind of hydrangeas. Some bloom on new growth, some bloom on old growth, but this isn't that old-fashioned kind, is it? Like you see around old home sites that are pink or purple. Yours is the white one?
The white one,
Okay, I think that most, and I'm guessing on this, some things I just can't remember because it can be confusing. Most of the white ones bloom on new growth. If you cut them back, they should sprout out new growth, and they could still bloom on this new growth. But at any rate, if you need to prune them hard, I'd wait till winter time. And what I would do is go back, Jerry, from the tip where the flowers are, all the way back to where it started this past spring, and leave some of that. Whatever you cut off, leave some of the year before's growth. In other words, you cut them to the ground, they're going to sprout back out, but they won't bloom. But if you'll follow from the tip down to where they started growing in the spring, as long as you leave some of that, what grows off of that next year will bloom.
Okay, but now, if I do something, they won't reproduce.
Well, it could be. Are they through blooming already?
Yes, I think, yeah, they are.
Yeah, go ahead. You can cut them as far as you want. Matter of fact, you can cut them as far as you want. And then when the new growth comes out, snip the tips off of that, and it will branch out. As long as you get that done by the middle part of the end of August, they should have plenty of time to hunker down before winter. So you can cut them hard now, and then come back sometime in August and just snip the tips off the new growth and make it branch out. And it should do fine. Won't hurt to plant.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, appreciate it.
All right.
Java, it's a funny thing. A lot of people can remember everything they ever learned. And there's some things like pruning clematis or hydrangeas, and I've read it, I've written about it, I've talked about it, but I can't remember this stuff because I don't know exactly what type of clematis or what kind of hydrangea it is. So, I feel okay not being able to know anything as long as I can look it up.
Well, that's the truth, because also you don't want to give the wrong advice, because I can already see Felder told me to do this way, and next thing you know, it's like all over the internet or something.
Well, what's worse than that is saying something is wrong and everybody knows it.
That too.
Yeah. Hey, I got another picture I want to run. I've been bragging the past few weeks about being in a different part of the country. I miss my figs. My figs are ripening right now, and I'm not there in Jackson to get them. But I've been walking around this little village. We're in the hills. They're called moors, and they've got peat moss and bogs and all like that. But anyway, I picked wild blackberry, wild raspberries. But I got two pictures I want to show. One of them everybody knows, and other people aren't familiar. One is a wild cherry. There are wild cherry trees going around here because it doesn't get any colder in England than it does in Mississippi, but it stays cooler longer. That's what cherries need. But this next one is black currant. A lot of people have never heard of black currant. They're red currants, white currants, and black currants, but they're grown on like little small shrubs in clusters, and they taste sort of like a grape, sort of like a cherry, and they're everywhere. They won't grow in Mississippi, though. So that's one of the problems. Where cherries grow, figs don't grow. So we got to decide, are we fig people or are we cherry people?
That is a nice, what do you call those again?
They're called currant, currant. There's black currants, there's red currants, and there's white currants. But they grow wild.
That's a pretty looking berry.
Yeah, they got a seed you got to spit out, but so does almost anything. Anyway, we got any callers on the line?
No, we don't have any callers, but I do want to say good morning to some of the people watching us on YouTube. Jennifer McCauley, hopefully I'm saying that right, because she was talking about the patch right off the interstate over here around Jackson.
What'd she say?
Well, she was just saying that she's obsessed with that patch, and she was wondering how it got there, and then Jason filled her in, so we started a little chat. And then good morning to CC, good morning to Margie, Halston, Pamela out there from Halston, but a special good morning to a Prima McNeil. I got to read this. It says, "Happy Friday. My aunt is Felder's #1 fan, Miss Lovey Willis of Gore Springs, Mississippi. She had a stroke on Sunday, but we are expecting 100% recovery." So Miss Prima and Miss Lovey Willis of Gore Springs, Mississippi, we're sending you love and light on this morning.
Yes, we are. Thank you so much for that. And before we get to some calls, by the way, we have the lines open, 1-877-MPB ring. But Java, I also sent a picture of a roach that somebody posted a picture on the Mississippi Facebook. Folks, if you're not a member of Mississippi Facebook, it's a nice place. If somebody gets nasty or rude or political or anything like that, we kick them off. This is about showing off your flowers and asking questions about your hydrangeas. Somebody found a roach in their yard, and I got this picture of it, Java. And you probably have these out in your yard, but you'd never see them.
Because that's a pretty impressive looking roach.
It is a pretty roach. We think of roaches as being bad. They diseases. They come in the house. This one doesn't come in the house. It doesn't eat anything except organic debris, old fallen leaves, and it's called a field roach, a pale banded field roach. They're not the kind that come in the house. This thing is it's less than an inch long. It's shiny black. It's got a red, what we call a head, as the thorax is red. It's got a yellow band around it. It is a pretty little insect, perfectly beneficial. It's fast. You might see them out in the flowers. They're not hurting anything. They're actually good food for a lot of stuff. But the pale banded field roach is just one of those weird little insects people rarely see, and they really shouldn't be afraid of it just because it's named roach. I just want to throw that out.
But a field roach, anytime you put field in front of something, because even like field mice and stuff, like it's not this as bad as without
house
the field.
Roach.
Yeah, the cockroach or something like that. But a field roach, okay, I can get it.
It's a tiny little thing. It's real fast, and I've seen them, all my life. But the two things I want to talk about that are particular importance right now to people. A lot of folks are getting ready for fall garden. They've got their I was talking with Gary Bachman the other day. He's already got his tomato plant started and set out the end of this month for a fall harvest, because late July and August is the time to start a fall garden for tomatoes and stuff. But anyway, a lot of people are real concerned about leaf spots. We had so much rain this spring, Java, and that anytime you have a fungus or bacteria that causes leaf spots, when a raindrop hits that spot, it splashes spores like little seeds everywhere. And hydrangeas and zinnias, a lot of times they've got these little round spots all over the leaves. They're circular, they're kind of reddish on the outside and pale. Anyway, a lot of people are upset about this, but you shouldn't be worried about it. Here's the reason why. First of all, it doesn't kill the plant. You could call it spotted leaf hydrangeas or spotted leaf zinnias and get away with it. But the real reason you shouldn't be concerned is because there's nothing you can do about it. You have to prune the plants to get all the disease stuff off, let the new growth come out, and spray it with fungicides. And who's going to do that? So anyway, since it doesn't hurt the plants, if you're the type A who just got to do something, go out and snip off the bad leaves and get rid of them. But other than that, just take your glasses off. It's a common fungus. Not much we can do about it when we have a real wet winter. But leaf spots on hydrangeas, leaf spots on zinnias, best you can do is just ignore them as best you can. If you want to prevent it next year, you can spray ahead of time with a copper-based fungicide. A lot of trouble. The other thing you can do is thin your plants out to where they're not so thick so you get better air circulation. And if you water with a sprinkler, don't. Water at the base of plants, because the longer the leaves stay wet, the more likely they're going to get disease. Anyway, I have pictures of this hydrangea leaf spot and zinnia leaf spot. But if you got it, what's that there? If you know, you know, right?
If you know, you know. And I know we have a couple callers and we got about 10 more minutes left in the show. So let's
do that.
Let's slide to Hattiesburg. I've been to Hattiesburg a couple times, but this is Bob in Hattiesburg.
Hey Bob, what's going on?
Hey Felder.
Yeah.
Hey Felder, how you doing?
Good. What's going on?
This is what I need to know. When do you prune crepe murders?
Okay. First of all, it ain't crepe murder. Southern Living invented that term, and I resent it till the day I drop dead. It's pruning, whether it's roses or azaleas or hydrangeas or crepe myrtle. It's just pruning, and you can do that pretty much any time. I wouldn't prune crepe myrtles or any kind of plant past the middle of August because the new growth won't have time to toughen up before winter. But you can prune them in the wintertime because they bloom on new growth, just like roses. Or you can prune them right now, and they'll put out new growth and bloom again. So the only time I would not prune a crepe myrtle or a rose would be September, October, because it doesn't have time for the new growth to do anything. Perfectly okay to prune crepe myrtle is not sacred. Sorry, Southern Living. It's just a flowering tree.
All right, well, Felder, let me give you a warning. Don't get on any British ships lying in the harbor. You might never get off.
Wait, what was that again?
Don't get on any British ships lying in the harbor. You may never get off.
That's right. By the way, we had 4th of July last week. They don't really celebrate that in England. But that's okay. They call me a former colonist.
That's funny, Bob from Hattiesburg, and then he jumped out with the crepe murder. That was funny. But let's keep it rolling because we do only got a few more minutes, and we got a full bank of calls. Let's go to AJ. I'm not sure where AJ is calling from, but wants to talk about blueberry bushes.
Hey AJ, what's up?
Hey, thank you. I just want to get some tips on pruning blueberry bushes. Mine have stopped yielding, and I know to cut the dead branches out, but when should I just kind of cut back the plants themselves, prune them back some?
You know, there's a weird thing online where some people say you prune blueberries in the fall or the winter. That is totally wrong here in the South. You want to go in and prune them this month, and you can cut them back to waist high or chest high. You can cut them in a ball shape or straight across, but commercial growers cut theirs right after harvest in July. That gives the new growth time to come out, toughen up, set flower buds before fall. So the only time to prune blueberries in the South is going to be as soon as it gets through being picked in July. You can snip on the new growth to make it bush out, but in general, get your pruning done by the end of this month, and they'll do fine.
I'll get busy and do it then. Thank you very much.
All right. Hey, wear a hat because it's hot out there.
It sure is. Don't tell me. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Appreciate it, man. What's up, Java?
I was going to say, speaking of wearing hats, Crystal did buy us some hats, some garden hats, matching garden hats at that. With
send me a picture. Send me a picture.
They have the fans in the hat. So, but let's go to Teresa and Brandon.
Hey, Teresa. Good morning.
Hello.
How are you? I'm fine. What's going on in Brandon?
Well, I have Congo grass that's going up through my Asiatic jasmine.
Oh,
and
boy.
It's just all over the place.
Yeah. Well, and you're sure it's a grass, not nut sedge or not what they call cocoa grass or cocoa weed. It's sure it's a regular grass, right?
It's like on my phone it tells me it's Congo, CONO grass.
Could very well be. If it's a true grass, there are sprays that you can get that only kill grasses. You can mix it up according to directions, spray it all over everything, and the only thing that dies are true grasses. They go by names like Grass Be Gone or Clean Up. Garden center people know what you're talking about. You know, you go by any of the garden centers there, and you say, I want a grass-only killer. They got stuff you can squirt on it, only kills the grass.
Well, I've tried that, and it's not working.
Well, it will. Here's the problem. A lot of people spray stuff when they notice it when it's big, as dry, as hot, as gone to flower. These weed killers always work on young plants. So either make a note to spray them next spring before they get very big, or pull what you can right now and let the new growth come up and spray that. Weed killers don't work as well on plants that's sending energy up into the little flower version, or if it's hot and dry. So it works best on new growth. That's the only thing I can recommend, other than pulling it and pulling it and pulling it. Those are the only, that's your options, or living with it.
No, but I'll try that.
Okay, those are if I get grass in my stuff, I either pull it or I spray it with a grass weed killer. Sometimes I just take my glasses off. It doesn't bother me as much, but those are my options.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good luck on it.
Okay.
Now, the last call, Felder, let's go to Bonnie. No, this is Benny. I'm sorry. Benny in Kosciuszko.
Benny, what's going on in Itala County?
Nothing much. But I was calling to have try to learn something in the future. Can you prune your fruit off your fruit trees when there is so much of like for my peach tree, it was just inundated with peaches for years, and I was wondering if I should have thinned them out because a couple of branches have now broken because of the weight.
Yeah, this is one of the reasons why commercial growers prune their trees every year to keep them sturdier, stockier, and all like that. Most home gardeners aren't going to do that. But the two things you can do. First of all, fruit thinning does help. If you've got 5 pears or peaches or apples or even tomatoes in one cluster, when they're small, if you pop some of those off, the ones that are left will get bigger. So you can have, bigger fruit. But the easiest way to do is in the springtime, in the wintertime, cut some of those long branches back, leave part of them unpruned so they'll bloom and all like that. But if you'll just kind of cut it back, give it a little haircut like you would a big shrub rose, then that leaves enough branches to make the fruit without breaking the plant. You can also, if it looks like it's going to break some, go ahead and cut some of those branches off when it's starting to bend over a little bit. Or else you can get a stick and make it like a T thing and prop them up. Sometimes that helps, but that's what commercial growers do. They prop them or else they prune them.
We appreciate you calling, Benny, but Felder, we're at the end of the show, brother.
Oh man, I got some really cheesy stuff to talk about too, but I know it's hot, I know it's muggy, I know all that kind of stuff. My heart's out with y'all's folks, but best thing I can recommend right now is mow high, and if you can, if you can just stay cool, just stay cool, stay hydrated. That helps a lot. Also, get ready to plant some stuff for fall. Towards the end of this month, it's time to plant, folks. It's time to don't sit on your heels. Let's go get dirty.